Engine's out of the Arosa. I've had a bit of a tidy up, as some eagle-eyed may notice. I've got a new toolkit at the back to give me a bit more room, and also to allow me to kind of move this to the other side of the garage and chain it up. If I have anything American on this side, because obviously you're probably able to see from, if I step back a little bit, there's no room. That's obviously, Arosa's really small. American kind of pickups and stuff would probably need to come up to the wall about here. So if that's the case, obviously I can move all this stuff, as I say, put some kind of lockable stuff on the wall and in the floor, and kind of chain it up over here out of the way, which will allow me then to have all this space, because originally there were some shelves and stuff. So this is kind of why I've been a bit delayed with the car. I've also been delayed because I've had a kitchen to fit, which is what these boxes are in the background, but that's fitted. These are all kind of random bits that the kitchen is left over from it. Basically, a kitchen plan was pants. But anyway, ignoring all that and ignoring all the junk in the background, I'm on the stage of starting to do some modifications onto the engine. Now, the first one I kind of wanted to make sure that I could do is the one I'm going to do now. And that's looking at the 1.4 TDI engine, the bracketry which holds the alternator and the power steering pump that's in my Arosa. It'll be the same on the Lupo 1.4 TDI. The plan is hopefully to have removed that and put it onto the 1.9 TDI, which is here. Now the brackets look different, but from what I'm looking at, the bolting I'm guessing is about the same. So I think in theory, and obviously doing a bit of research, they're pretty much identical engines, other than that one's a 4-cylinder, this is a 3-cylinder. So I'm kind of hoping that everything lines up, which will allow me then not to have to mess around buying parts for the 1.9. I should just be able to chuck my alternator over and my power steering pump, because with the ASZ, which I'm using here out of the Fabia VRS, the power steering is actually behind the bumper, and it's an electronic kind of motor rather than it being engine belt driven. So obviously I'd have to mess around trying to find like a Mark IV Golf power steering pump and then maybe the brackets for it, or maybe modifying, etc. But luckily and hopefully this is going to be a case of just putting this on to here. So that's kind of the first thing I'm going to do. Once that's done, that's kind of a headache out the way. The other thing with using the Fabia VRS engine is the mounting points. Now I'm obviously using, as I showed in a previous video, I'm using different mounts, which are the ones, bear with me, which are these Vibrotechnics. I think that's how it's pronounced. But yeah, these are obviously the Mark IV Golf platform, as opposed to the Fabia. Fabia is like a round ball kind of mounting point. So to do them, I've bought the Mark IV from the 1.9 TDI Golf, obviously PD150, PD130. These type of mounts. So obviously I think this one's a gearbox. So obviously you can see they've got the kind of notch in at the top, and that fits there. Now I've obviously got the engine side one as well. They cost me about 30 quid for the pair, but I think now what I may potentially do is completely make this mount from scratch, because I think I can do a better job with it being very low profile, to try to avoid any chassis modifications, or if I have to do chassis modifications, very minimal chassis modifications. I mean, this one's steel, so I may be able to reuse some of this, or I may just turn up some kind of tubing and make a flat panel that goes across there, and then maybe dogleg it inwards, as long as it clears all the mechanism, and up to try and get it around the chassis rail rather than going up. So I may be able to get around modifying it. Now I know I've mentioned obviously you can buy the conversion mounts, but the conversion mounts are to use a standard Lupo gearbox mounts at the top and then bolt to a 5-speed. Now I'm doing a 6-speed, completely different, and I'm not using the original Lupo or Arosa mountings at any point. So the conversion mounts won't work in my case, but I would much rather do it the way I'm kind of doing it. And same with this one, I may end up, I'm not 100% sure yet, I may end up moving the mounting height of the top and remaking this in low profile again, so it's something machined. So I could potentially get it kind of close to the chassis rail without actually having to notch the chassis rail. So yeah, those are going to be the next parts to look at. At the minute, it's just to check whether or not I can remove the 1.9 PD stuff and put the 1.4 PD stuff in its place. Fingers crossed. Right, so excuse me if I look a bit homeless. It's because it's absolutely freezing in here. And these are obviously clothes we can get oiled up. So fingers crossed this works. So this is obviously the 1.9. There's a cheeky little bolt here, which we're going to need a spanner for. Bear with, got to find a bloody spanner. 30mm. Crack that off. Right, so that is the engine mount off. I'm going to put that to one side. Going to keep the bolts from the TDI from the 1.4. So hopefully this should line up. What a winner! So we're on to a winner here. Winner chicken dinner. I can get my alternator on. I mean, this is all loose fit. Don't worry about, we're not tightening stuff up. This is all going to come back off again in a minute. I've got a cam belt to do. I've got everything kind of to do on it. Just want to clean the mount up. My kind of main thing was to see whether this will bolt it up. Now the only thing I do see that would be a difference on it is obviously this coolant pipe here, which would go up to the expansion tank. However, the expansion tank's on the other side, I think it's in that top corner. So obviously this pipe will need moving. I mean, you could leave it on there. It's only like a millimetre off of there from actually touching, but it's kind of pointless being there anyway, because of where the expansion tank is, it's not in the same place as it would have been in the Fabia. So that's fine. We've got good clearance on everything so far. Again, this is just a loose fit. Hopefully you can see that once it goes round here where it needs to go, I've got a perfect belt run again. Perfect. So that is spot on where I need it. Absolutely perfect. So there we go, there we have it. Like I say, this pipe will need moving anyway, because obviously expansion pipes and expansion tanks are a different place. So that pipe won't be there. However, it does clear. I mean, you could probably see it clears. And in theory, it's not going to rub, because obviously it's all of this should be solid to the engine. The engine will move as one. But to be honest with you, I probably wouldn't have risked it anyway. So yeah, this pipe will go off to the other direction. However, as you can see, as thought, the Lupo alternator fits perfectly. The alternator here, we're going to have the power steering motor which sits on here. And yeah, I believe there's aircon optional, but I'm not fitting aircon. So I can't remember which one's which. I think the power steering's at the bottom. Need to double check. But if it's not, I'll end up lobbing the bottom off if we don't need that. But yeah, belt run's perfect. Obviously with it sitting in the same place as it would the 1.9, you don't need to shim anything. It is literally just plug and play. So perfect. So yeah, I'm going to whip this off now, clean off obviously this bracket up, because I want to do a cam belt. So kind of the best thing I can do is just remove everything I don't need out the way. So yeah, happy days with that. That, if anyone was interested for yourselves, you can just sell it online, I guess. I'm just going to leave it out for the scrap man, because we don't need it. But yeah, it's good to know that it all kind of bolts on perfectly. Very easy, very easy. So yeah, that's that. Happy days with that, buzzing.